Well, I'm Chef Frank with Dish It Out as always. But today, I have a very special person in the kitchen. You already heard about her a little bit. Chef Tony, thank you so much for joining me.
It's great to be here.
From Teresa's Cafe in Princeton.
Yes.
And the Terramoma Restaurant Group. And I think you talked with Chef B a little bit about the book that's out.
Yes, I did. We just published the book, actually, so it's very exciting and wonderful recipes in it.
You're going to make a couple of dishes. We're going to start off for this segment and do, what is it, the risotto?
Risotto.
So how are we going to get started with this, Chef?
Okay, we're going to get started by mincing our shallot. So this one's a little bit big, so we're only going to use about half for this particular.
Okay.
So we're going to start, you want to mince it up small and nice and even, just like so. So you want to go ahead and mince.
Can I use onion?
You can use onion. You can use any kind of onion, actually. If you have red onion, it's a good substitute too for shallot because it has a nice yeah, like a little, it's not as bitey. It's not as bitey as the yellow onion. So what we're gonna do is sweat our shallot in a little bit of oil and butter.
There we go.
Into our pan.
Real cooking.
Yes.
And that's whole butter.
Whole butter.
So you can see that smoke coming up.
Yes. So we throw our shallot in, and you wanna stir.
And we're just gonna cook that a little bit without some color. And...
Yes. So now we're gonna take the asparagus. So the asparagus we're gonna do in 2 stages. So first of all, to clean your asparagus, cut the ends of the asparagus off because this part is tough and kind of woody. Stage 1 is we're gonna saute the stems with the shallots to get ready because that's where all the flavor is gonna come from. And for this recipe, you want about 1 pound or like 1 bunch.
And the beautiful part is that this recipe is in your book here. So,
yes, it is.
So people can go get this book and have this exact recipe.
So, just want to move on to the next step now that we've sweated nicely.
Yes.
This is about 2 cups of Arborio rice. Okay. It's a short grain rice that's higher in starch, which is the classic type of rice that you use when making risotto. Mm-hmm. So you add this to the pot, and this stage is very important because this is where you're toasting the rice. Okay. You get a lot of flavor from the rice by toasting it, and this is part of the classic preparation.
Now you're gonna give it a little drinky poo.
Nice drink of wine.
There you go.
So for this quantity, you want to do like about 1/2 cup.
And you typically use like a Pinot Grigio or something like that?
You don't want to use a really strong flavored wine when you do this step or when you cook with your white wine. You want something that has a nice like fresh light flavor. So that's why, if you'll turn to the pot we have over on the side here.
We have our pot.
Here you go.
Our chicken stock, nice and hot.
This is for you.
Ready for a little stock?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Go ahead.
I'll hit you a little bit more.
Yes. So you want to do multiple additions of the stock, about 1/3, 1/4 or 1/3 at a time. And then, like I said, on high heat, you want to preheat your stock too so that you don't have to wait for it to come up to a boil once you put it in with the rice.
We're going to keep adding stock to it, right? And we're going to get it cooked down. And
yes.
When we come back, we're going to finish this risotto off. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. And we're back. Chef Tony's been feverishly stirring this with lots of love. And Chef, what's it time for?
You know, we've just been stirring for a couple minutes now, and it's close to being done. You can kind of tell by looking at the texture of the rice and the thickness of the liquid and how much it's grown in the pan.
So now we have our porcinis here, and you start off with dry ones, right?
Yes, we do. This is a delicious one, and my favorite part is when you finish it with the butter and the cheese. At this point, too, now that we're almost done, you can start adding salt to season it, to taste, and you want to have a spoon or a couple spoons available to be kind of tasting it as you go so you don't over salt it and you know exactly what it's going to taste like.
Is this when, at Teresa's, when you do have this on the menu, you put a lot of mushrooms, a lot of asparagus? Like
yes.
A lot of asparagus. We're going to finish all this more.
Yes.
How's that? Is that enough?
That's good. So at this point, we can add the mushrooms.
All right.
And those asparagus tips that we reserved. I think we're at that point.
Can we start adding some in? You want all this butter?
Yes. No, let's do like half of it and see where we're at.
No Paula Deen
Just
time?
a couple of... At this point, too, you can turn the heat down or turn it off and just use the heat of the rice itself to finish. And you're going to see what effect the butter and cheese has on the texture.
And the cheese will kind of tighten it up a little bit too,
Yep,
right?
the cheese will bind it up. And once you put the cheese in, if you feel it's a little too tight, you can always just splash a little more stock in and sort of loosen it up a little bit. I think we're ready for the plate.
Oh, all right.
Just want to heat this onto your plate.
I like that word, heat. Heaping portions.
Heat. And this is the texture it should be. You want to see these individual grains of rice in this nice creamy kind of liquid. So the texture should be, it almost stands up on its own, but if you just wiggle the plate a little bit, it comes down the sides like that.
That's a beautiful dish. Thank you so much, Chef Tony. We're going to eat some of
you.
this beautiful asparagus porcini risotto from the Terra Momo cookbook. And what's
Yes.
that book called?
The Teresa Cafe Cookbook.
Teresa Cafe in Princeton, New Jersey. Chef Tony, she's also going to do another recipe with us. So make sure you stay tuned because this is good news.